Hi, and welcome to Danny After Dark. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a notification or a new episode. Tonight is the weekly True Crime and Chill. And for this one, I will be solo. So Mr. Beckham won't be fashionably late. In fact, he will not be able to make it tonight at all. But that's okay. A lot of things to discuss, and I can hold it down on my own. So Beckham, see you next week. But before we jump into all of the true crime updates that happened this week, and yes, there's a lot. There's a lot. Couple of administrative things. If you are not already following me on Instagram, please feel free to do so, as well as on Facebook. The links for that are in the description bar below. If anybody, because I've been getting questions about this as well. I haven't talked about it in a while in regards to a link to the site that has some of the Danny After Dark merch. I know like this is like one of my absolutely favorite things. Love it, love it. But check that out, as well as a link to my Cameo, because I am on Cameo as well. So definitely make sure to check those out. If you missed my show last night, I had Marie on from Bando Bandits, and that was so much fun. So if you guys missed that interview, please go back and check it out. She is a rock star and absolutely amazing, as well as please subscribe to her channel if you have not already. In regards to next week, so did an extra show this week. So what I figured I would do next week is only do the True Crime and Chill. I know, I'm sorry. But it will give me time to catch up and read for the book that we will be doing for the May book club book review, because I have the book and I just haven't had the time to start it. And I really want to give it as much attention as it deserves. So next week, again, only the True Crime and Chill. So tune into that so you don't miss that. And Beckham will be back for that. So even better. Before I jump to the chat, I just have to show a couple of quick things. So I'm wearing one of these shirts that I got in Vegas when I met up with Capone for the Mob Museum. So I'm wearing, it says Mob Boss and has a few pictures here, but this was one of the other t-shirts that I got when I visited. That shop was just so cool. So cool. There's so much stuff. And yeah, Capone knows my struggle of like being like, I want that, I want that, I want that. But yeah, this is one of the other shirts I got. So I figured I'd wear it tonight as we're just kind of casually hanging out. The door is open. So cat-wise, let's see. Don't have a cat on that tower, but I have Selena back there napping. So we'll see if there will be any more cats roaming through. But at the very least, we have Selena with us. And then also Auntie Mimi, y'all know her, y'all love her. I just want to give her a shout out because not only is she like the coolest aunt in the world, but she made me this really cool Danny After Dark candle. And with one of my favorite scents, I'm obsessed with coconut, like obsessed. And yeah, oh, so good. So good. And it has my little avatar. So thank you to Auntie Mimi for making this. You gotta love when you have a cool aunt. It's just like, come over, I have stuff for you. And it's like, oh, love it, love it. So thank you, Auntie Mimi. Oh my God, Wolf, she is the best aunt. Like, I wasn't lying yesterday when I had Marie on, and I was saying that before we had scheduled for her to come on, when we were, kind of exchanging messages and introducing ourselves. I was like, I'm Mimi's niece. She's way more cooler than me. Just putting it out there so you know. Like, she's way cooler than me. She's amazing. And yeah, she's basically become an aunt to all of you guys in the chat as well. And I absolutely love that. So yeah. All right, let's see who's here so we can go ahead and jump in. Tony Stewart. Hello, Danny. Everyone, storms around the area, but moving east very fast. Well, I hope you are in a safe area in regards to those storms, and they're not too bad. I forget which state you're in. I remember the general vicinity, but I forget which specific state you're in. So I hope the storms you have are not too detrimental and that you are safe, Tony, because if you're not here, who's going to pick on me? And that's a problem. Beckham, but I don't really care what he says. So, Hi, Tish. Welcome. Tish in Drugachusetts. Ooh, that name, Trish. Oh my God, I'm adding an R in there. Tish. Why did I say Trish? I have no idea. No idea. Tish in Drugachusetts. Oh, you're certainly giving a message with that, Tish. That's for sure. Hey, Kane. Good to see you. All right, Kane, I have a coffee story for you, but hold on to that. Hold on to that thought. Little Milky, K-Dog, hello. Yes, we got Selena watching while exercise. Wolf, good for you. That is impressive. That is amazing. That is amazing. Getting hit now, power outages around Shelby County. Oh, well, hopefully you don't lose power and stuff. Like, that's horrible when that happens. That's absolutely horrible. Had to hook up the AC today. Little Milky, the struggle. I'm still convinced. Yeah, I'm still convinced right now here in Massachusetts. And it's weird because, and I should know this, I've lived here my whole life. Some days it's like 84 and then the next days it's like 50. But I am so like, no, at this point, no heat, no AC. So I'm like trying to maneuver otherwise because I'm like, no. There's no way I'm putting the heat on in May, but there's also no way I'm putting the AC on in May. And trying to navigate that's a little tricky. But props to you for caving, Little Milky, and doing that AC. Props to you. I'm sure I will be there right behind you very shortly because I'll be like, screw this, I don't care anymore. It's not even hot outside, but I live under, not even hot outside, but it's the humidity. That's the thing too. It's not just like the heat. It's like the humidity that comes with it. It makes all the difference. Danielle loves the gangsters. What can I say? Let's see. I don't know what that quote is for, but that's okay. Tony, it's storm bad here too. Some trees. Okay, Kane, stay safe where you are as well. That's stuff like that's no joke. When trees start coming, like honestly, like stuff like that. I know it's like one of those, not the worst case scenarios, but like if you're in the wrong place, wrong time, and a tree comes down and you're driving through, like, shit can get real fast. Ohio, okay. I knew that, and then I doubted myself. Dang it. 4 dead in St. Louis from, yeah, see, like, horrible. Like, that's absolutely horrible. Oh, you guys, seriously, take care. Little Milky got the heat on in the AC. Living in an attic, I need a space heater and AC in the same day. I totally believe that. Oh, you caved as well. Yep. I say that it's May 16th and I'm like, can I get to June 1st without the AC? In my car? Oh God, no. It's already been cranking like several weeks. Probably since, end of April. There were some days I'm like, nope, not doing this. I'm not sitting in rush hour and not having AC going. So, but where I am, like house-wise, I'm like, no, I can't put the AC on. I just can't. Hey, Corey Novak. Hello. Good to see you. Oh, it totally does. It totally does. Completely agree. Kane. Okay. Yes. So local coffee shop, right? And it's, of course, it's like shocking that on like Instagram and Facebook algorithm, it's like coffee locations that you might be interested in. It's like, oh, shocker. One of them, it was, I forget the exact post, but I saw it and I was like, oh shit, I'm trying to be better. All right, let me go get one. That's like my one for the month, trying to be good here. Or one for the week, I should say, one for the week. And it was like, the whole Dubai chocolate like craze right now. This shop was doing like their own take on that. It was like a Dubai shaken espresso or something like that. And I was like, oh, I have to try it. I hope it's horrible so I don't drink it all. But no, it was absolutely amazing. So I should have taken a picture because it was so aesthetically gorgeous. I'm like, this drink is not only like good tasting, it was very pretty. Like the presentation of it was so good. I need to start taking pictures of these, man. Because yeah, some of them are like works of art. Hey, Chris James, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I had to buy a washing machine. Oh, that's no fun. That is no fun. Congratulations on getting new machinery, though. That is exciting. That's always a good feeling, but stressful at the same time. Okay, so lots to talk about here, folks. So let's just kind of go ahead and dive on in. I'll do a few things, and then we'll talk about Karen Reed, because there's a lot of Karen Reed, and then we'll kind of go on to other things. But I will start with Lori Vallow. So Lori Vallow, and I'm so sad Beckham isn't here to do his Chad Daybell. Like, that makes me so sad. So Lori was in court on Wednesday because it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. She is trying to recuse the presiding county judge in her third murder trial. She is citing personal bias. So Lori's motions comes as Judge Justin Boreski considers her request for a retrial on her most recent conviction in April on grounds of what she is saying is juror and prosecutorial misconduct. So in a status conference Wednesday in state court, Lori accused Judge Boreski of holding a clear and prejudicial, oh my God, I can't even talk, prejudicial bias against her. Quote, "You've denied every single motion of mine in the year and a half that I've been here," end quote. So Judge Boreski, I have to say, so there's footage of this online, and I encourage you to watch it because the judge was having none of it. Like, professional, but having none of her bullshit. And replied, quote, "File motions that have a legal basis, and I'll grant them," end quote. The judge also said, quote, "I have over accommodated you on when you disclose things," end quote. Lori then, thank you, James Watson. Thank you. Thank you. It's very appreciated. Oh, so jealous. I am so jealous. So Lori said, quote, "I have to hand over my whole case to the state. That's how the rule of law works," end quote. Oh my God, you guys. So the judge responded, quote, "Yes, that is how the rule of law works," end quote. Ultimately, he denied the motion. So that is not all. Lori is requesting that her name not be included in juror questionnaires for the upcoming trial so that potential jurors can't research her case before. So the judge responds saying, "How do we screen for it if people, to see if they've heard about you, if we don't give them your name?" Which makes a lot of sense. But let's be honest. Everybody, for the most part, has heard of Lori Vallow at this point. I mean, let's just be honest, right? So last week, the judge denied her motion to dismiss on grounds that her right to a speedy trial was violated. She's just pulling everything, that she can think of out of a hat, or, just trying to throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks type of thing, right? So prosecutors explained her second trial could not be begun any earlier because of scheduling conflicts that both them and the judge had that was going to go throughout the latter half of May. So the takeaway from this, there was a lot of back and forth. Again, the judge was professional, but was not having her bullshit. And there is one clip that I first saw the clip on Instagram and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And that's what led me to watch more of it. So again, Lori Vallow just arguing, just not thinking that she understands law, but really doesn't. And the judge eventually says to her, quote, "Are you done?" End quote. Oh my God, it was like the best thing. It was the best thing. For anybody that has been following this case with Lori, she's just, I don't know the right word, delusional, just not grasping reality and thinking she knows the law better than anybody else. And I think that has showed in the trial that she just represented herself in. But the comment that she made to the judge of so I have to hand over my case. Yes, that's how it works. That's how it works. And likewise, the prosecution, they can't just, blindside you. Like, you're aware of who, their witnesses are going to be on the stand. You're aware of, all this stuff has to get shared back and forth prior so that there's just no tricks on either side. And she just doesn't get it. Still. But yeah, for a judge to ask her, are you done? Highlight of my week. It was one of the highlights of my week, that's for sure. Let's see. Beckham's mode off. God, you guys are horrible. So yeah, that is the update with Lori Vallow. And I will keep you guys posted because Lord knows this is not the end of Lori Vallow. She will, I'm sure we'll be talking about her next week. I'm sure that will happen because yeah, she's just always in the news. But that's that. So the next update, and this one I was actually talking about with my coworkers yesterday and not in a positive way, because it's just, we were reading the article and it's like, what the heck is going on in the world? So Luigi Mangione. So as we know, he is awaiting trial for the crimes that he has been alleged to have committed. Oh my God, caned. Oh, 100%. It's one of those, it's a catch-22, right? And let me know if you feel the same way. On the one hand, it's like a train wreck that you can't help but watch. And it's just like, I just want to sit back with the popcorn and just watch it unfold. But then on the other hand, I get like a pit in my stomach, like just how awkward and uncomfortable it is. So it's like, I enjoy it, but then I'm like, oh, this is just so awkward and cringy. You know what I mean? It's just one of those. Boo. Yeah, I know. So all right, Luigi, right? I do not promote this in any way, shape, or form. I do not agree with it in any way, shape, or form. But what I will be citing from the article in the website that I looked over, I will be giving kind of their reasoning for why it's happening. Again, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Do with it what you will. I'm just at a loss for words with this. But the headline that I saw that led to me doing a little bit more digging into this was, a musical inspired by alleged murderer Luigi Mangione is set to premiere next month, and tickets for the show have already completely sold out. So right away I read that title and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And I really wanted to read and see what it was that those who are putting this on, like what stance or where they're coming from. So, but a little bit more background. So Luigi the Musical will debut on June 13th in San Francisco. The musical is described as a, quote, comedy, end quote. It's also described as, quote, this show is not a celebration of violence of any kind, nor is it an attempt to pass judgment on an ongoing legal matter, end quote. The musical is described as, quote, uses satire to ask deep cultural questions, end quote. So, of course, that to me was a very vague statement. So if you go on their website, you can read a little bit more in regards to who is involved in this play, the actors, everybody that's hired for it. But the synopsis that is described for the play, I think gives a little bit more information. Again, I don't agree with it, but it says, the synopsis for Luigi the Musical states that, quote, our characters reflect three institutions of modern disillusionment: healthcare, tech, and Hollywood. Each represents a pillar of American life where public trust has eroded and where people increasingly feel betrayed, exploited, or abandoned, end quote. So, thoughts? Comments? Concerns? I would love to hear what y'all have to say about this. And if you're watching on replay and you're like, oh man, I wasn't live to give my opinion, put your opinion in the chat, in the comments below after. I would still love to hear your take on it. Like I said, when I was talking about it, like I said, yesterday with some coworkers, it was just one of those, like, we were just kind of in awe that this was happening. We saw no good of this. It's just, I can't understand the thought process okay. And also when it says it's sold out, the headline is misleading because yes, technically it has sold out, but there was only like a handful of performances that were scheduled. So I did feel when you first see the headline, you're like, wait, what? But when you do a little bit more research, it's not like it was like, 20 nights out of the month a play for like the next 4 to 6 months or something like that. Like kind of like a normal play, like on Broadway or something would do, where there's just constant show after show after show and they've all sold out. That's not the case here. But the fact that even they did the handful that they did and it sold out. And then the psychology kind of background person in me is like, what type of person would go to this show? That's what intrigues me a lot about this. Is I would love to kind of observe from a distance and like, who is going to this and why? What are they wanting to get out of this? Again, the trial has not happened. And even if it had, it's just, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. But if one of you guys are watching this and you're in the chat now and you're like, you know what? I disagree. I think X, Y, and Z. By all means, please, please, please feel free to say that. Again, everybody has an opinion, is entitled to that. Even if I differ on it, that's okay. That's okay. Let's see what you guys are saying. Who's starring in the Karen Reid musical, Danny? When she is found not guilty, book deal. She needs book deal. Because, yeah. With Danny doing a solo tonight, I feel like I should take it easy on Danny. Oh, Tony, that doesn't sound like you. I think the storm is, it's getting to you. All right, well, one of my cats is behind there. We'll see if he comes over. Anyone want to hear the opening song to my upcoming Karen Reid musical? It's going to be a love ballad, I'm absolutely sure, James, because, as far as I know, she's single. I'm just saying. Tony, because it did. And there's a lot tonight, too. So prepare. If I'm 3 hours by myself talking, though, without Beckham, like, I don't know. Speaking dolls are some pink cheeks, Danny. You know what, Paul? You are too much. By the way, yeah, horrible at returning messages. There you go. But hi, Paul. Welcome. But yeah, I'm just in like a basic tee, so I was like, let me like amplify the makeup a little bit more so I don't look as just like laying low as I am. But thank you, Paul, for calling out the makeup. Let's see. Yeah. So, all right. Moving on from Luigi Mangione, the musical, because Lord knows I feel queasy just even talking about it for like the few minutes that I did. So, Becky Hill. And the reason I'm talking about this is because out of the whole Alex Murdaugh series, yes, y'all know my feelings on him. Ugh. But Becky Hill, that talk about just like throwing your career away. Yeah. Let's talk about it. So for those of you who watched the trial and you either remember who she is or you're like, wait a minute, I know that name. She was the former clerk of court in the Alex Murdaugh case, and she is now facing multiple felony charges. So Becky Hill was arrested Wednesday and is charged with obstructing justice and 2 counts of misconduct. She was also charged with 1 count of perjury in Richland County, South Carolina, Two of the charges are related to Murdoch's 2023 murder trial. So just a quick reminder, and some of this was a little bit more in-depth information than I knew prior going into this, into research for tonight's show. So she's accused of making available photographs that were sealed evidence, quote, which prevented, obstructed, impeded, hindered, or potentially impeded or hindered the administration of justice, end quote, during Murdoch's trial for the murders of his wife and son. And that is according to the arrest warrant for her obstruction of justice charge. She is also accused of using her position as the clerk of court to promote her book called Behind the Doors of Justice, The Murdoch Murders. Needless to say, that book has been pulled, one, because of all of this shitty situation that she created, but also it came out that she plagiarized some of her book from another author, got caught, and then her rationale or reasoning when explaining it was like, oh, I was so busy and there was a deadline and this other author did it, did such a great job that I basically just like pulled from their book and didn't give credit or cite it where credit is due. Anyway, so that is not it for Becky. She is also facing a perjury charge for, quote, false, misleading, or incomplete, end quote, testimony that she gave during an evidentiary hearing to establish if Alex Murdoch should get a new trial. She allegedly lied under oath when during her testimony she was asked, quote, did you allow anyone from the press to view the sealed exhibits, end quote. She responded, quote, no, ma'am, end quote. When they catch a lion on the stand, not good, not good. So that is what's going on for Miss Becky Hill. And you can see her photos of being arrested. Yeah, they are quite interesting. Yeah, she looks very different than when she did back during the trial. So check that out if that's something you guys are interested in. And I will keep you up to date on that, because this part of the Alex Murdoch case, yeah, I'm here for it. I am totally here for it. So we'll see what happens with Becky Hill. Karen Diamond. Hi, Dana. You always look lovely. Hope you and your cats are well. Much love. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. See, Paul, you need to take a page out of Karen's book, aka come into a chat and just be nice. Karen, thank you for leading the example for Paulcast, who does not know how to do so. Didn't she do something with the jury? Yes, K-Dog. She had also allegedly, and this came out later, like after the fact, she allegedly had made comments to the jury, make sure to like look him in the eye, and kind of implying that he was guilty and she should not have made any of those comments. And there was some jurors that went on the stand, and there was, I believe it was just one had said that their guilty verdict was influenced by the comments that she made. So of course, when that happened, Alex Murdoch's, defense team was just like, we need to do outraged, rightly so. I mean, I don't like the guy. It's clear that he murdered his wife and kid. But at the same time, what the hell was she thinking? So stupid. Let him be found guilty because of the evidence shows that. The jury will see that. Becky, we don't need you commenting the way you did to the jury. And now look where we are. So, yeah. So ridiculous, Paul. Hey, Liz. Welcome, the Liz. Liz, please give Paul a hard time. He came in and he was really rude. So, just saying. So, all right. Well, this is perfect timing for the next case. Y'all are okay. Every trial has to be fair. Absolutely. Absolutely. When somebody is found guilty and, sentenced or whatnot, there's always going to be appeals, and that's their right to do so, regardless of what the charges are. That is their right to appeal if they are found guilty, right? why give them any more, assuming I'm just using Alex Murdaugh as an example, right? Why give the defense extra ammo for their appeals? Again, let the science, let the evidence speak for itself. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, she should, it's just awful, awful, awful. So it's Friday night. Y'all are rowdy. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Puff Daddy. The Puff Daddy trial. There have been memes going around from that. I will not quote the meme. Has there been people in this chat that has shared the meme? Yes, they have. And yeah, no, absolutely funny. It's funny in regards to like not the crimes that he is accused of committing on, you know, the victims that he has. Nothing funny about that. It's just the digs that are coming at him. I'm here for it because he deserves it. He deserves it. Yeah. One crime you can look into is the disappearance of Austin Matthews' game during the playoffs. Paul, Christ's sakes. You want rowdy? Come over here to listen to these kids yelling Minecraft together for the last couple of hours. Liz, I do not envy you. Oh. Okay, I know what tonight is. Yep. Yeah, I stand by what I said. I don't envy you. Text me if you need to vent, because I think you do. I'll get back to you after the show. Oh gosh. So, all right. Because the trial for Puff Daddy isn't being televised, I don't have as many notes as I would have, let's say, Karen Reed. But also Karen Reed is in my area. So I'm, obviously very much more glued to that. Yeah. So a few things that I want to kind of recap that happened this week. And if there's anything that y'all took away from this as well, please talk about it in the chat. Like, please feel free to do so. So Cassie Ventura, so she has been testifying on the stand, and I'm not going to get into a lot of specific details because a lot of what we've been hearing has been super graphic. I won't repeat that here. If that's something that you guys want more details on, you could definitely find that information online. You can find her testimony online. You can find all the questions, the answers, the back, everything you can find online. I'm just going to give you guys like a bit of a recap, so to speak. And before I do that, so Cassie is very visibly pregnant at this point in time. And with that being said, one of the things that the defense had argued to the judge was they wanted her pregnancy to basically kind of be concealed from the jury. But yeah, the judge wasn't having it. And I completely agree with the judge because, like, what the hell? Like, again, think about what Puff Daddy's or Diddy, whatever you guys want to call him, his whole argument with his team of lawyers is everything was consensual, no crimes were committed, everything was consensual, right? That tape of him beating the hell out of Cassie Ventura. I mean, it's horrible because she's having to relive this on the stand, and her, I believe it's her husband, is in the courtroom listening to his wife, who's having his child, have to, not only just recall all this, bring it back to the forefront, but share this information for not just for a courtroom, but for the world. And I can't even imagine the courage and bravery that is taking of both Cassie and then is for her husband, supportive beyond belief to be there for his wife, to be like, no, didn't get away with this. Puff Daddy is not getting away with this. So I see you all talking about this in the chat. I will get to your comments. Absolutely. Again, I want to hear what you guys are taking away from the trial so far. So again, basically what has been talked about this week is that the drug-fueled freak-offs, this is from Cassie, could last for days. They would range from roughly 36 hours to as long as 4 days. And a lot of that time was without any sleep. She recalled drinking, taking drugs, and having sex with strangers while staying up, quote, for days on end, end quote. She testified saying that the freak-offs occurred over years, and sometimes they were on a weekly basis. At the end of the sessions, the freak-off sessions, the hotel room linens were often soiled with baby oil residue as well as bodily fluids, including blood and urine. And one of the things that she did say was, regardless, where is Selena? All right. Was that when she was on her period, that was no excuse for not participating in a freak off. Like Puff Daddy did not care. Like she still had to partake. So Puff Daddy's lawyers have argued again that all of the sex acts were consensual, but Cassie was basically repeating otherwise over and over. As I stated, her testimony contained a lot of graphic descriptions of sex acts that she said that she did not consent to. Again, if you want more information on that, feel free to do your own research and read that. But she was very specific in her testimony about what those were. The judge denied a request, again, by the defense to downplay her physical pregnancy, as I told you. The defense also fought to get surveillance video showing Sean Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway in 2016 excluded from trial. The judge denied that request. And a part of me is thinking, okay, if you're the defense, it was consensual. You're saying it was consensual. Prove from that video, prove it was consensual. Oh, sorry, you can't. So now you want to get it excluded? Okay. It's just so infuriating. So Cassie was asked how many times in her relationship with Puff Daddy that she had been thrown to the ground by him, as seen in the hotel video. And she said, quote, too many to count, end quote. Cassie said that the drugs that Puff Daddy provided to participants for the freak-offs were a variety of drugs: ecstasy, cocaine, marijuana, ketamine, mushrooms, quote, whatever the drug of choice at that point, end quote. So Cassie said that escorts were paid in cash, typically $1,500 to $6,000. Sometimes Puff Daddy brought the cash. Other times it was a member of his security team. And I just want to expand on that statement right there, because one of the things with this case is obviously the focus is on Puff Daddy and the feds charging him with what they're charging him to bring him down. He is not the only person in this that has committed crimes. Let's just be honest. There were a lot of people involved and a lot of people had knowledge. And you can separate in regards to, again, if someone had knowledge about this and did nothing about it, like, shame on you. What the hell? Like, what the hell? But there were people that went further from that. Think of bodyguards, security guards, hotel staff, like people who knew what was going on and partaking and facilitating and letting, in creating this. Because Puff Daddy was not pulling all of the strings here. It was others as well. And those other people need to be brought to justice. But at the same time, I'm sure the state would love to use them to get them to flip and testify against Puff Daddy. We'll see what happens. But when she mentioned that sometimes it was a member of the security team, I just wanted to make sure I elaborated on that, because, you know, people can't play stupid. They can't say, oh, well, yes, I paid, but I didn't know what was actually happening. Like, no, you can't have it both ways. So we'll see. So Cassie talked about her relationship with Kid Cudi and also Puff Daddy's relationship with Kim Porter. So Kim Porter was the mother of his 4 children. She had relatively recently passed away from pneumonia. And that's a whole kind of, did she really pass away from that type of thing? In regards to Kid Cudi, we're, for the most part, everybody's familiar with, Cassie started dating him. His car was blown up. It's very much, it's like this unknown secret or well-known secret, I should say, that Puff Daddy was behind that. And Cassie did admit in court that she was jealous of Kim in regards to Kim's relationship with Puff Daddy. Cassie also alleged that Diddy was, quote, addicted to opiates and used ecstasy, MDMA, and cocaine, end quote, and recalled an occasion where he actually overdosed on opiates at the Playboy Mansion. So she said a lot of information. And again, when it was the defense's turn to cross-examine her, it wasn't a surprise to me, the angle that they were kind of going at, which was to and it's a very slippery slope, because, they're saying you chose to stay with him for however many years that you did. Obviously, in regards to text messages, emails, love letters, if you will, the defense is showing all of this, saying, well, look at this message. As you can see, she was a consenting adult in this. And I want to address that as well, because she was 19 when they got together. And I think they were together for was it 10 years, I want to say? I'm sorry, but that was a grown man having a relationship with a 19-year-old. And at 19, yes, you're legally an adult, but let's be honest, you're still a kid. You're still trying to figure your shit out. You're a kid. And that's such an influential time. And for her to get in this relationship with him, and how do I word this? Dating him and going through what she went through, it's like that to her could have been like, oh, well, this is what a normal relationship in Hollywood is, I guess. You know what I mean? And it's like, no. You just got with a sick individual who should be in jail the rest of his life. Let's just call it like it is. So yeah, again, the defense was really trying to show, again, how, she's saying all these things, but look at this. And, she's saying she loves him and, she can't wait to see him. Some of the text messages in regards to her, and I get the way the defense kind of flipped it in regards to her almost sounding like a willing participant in some of these freak-offs or orgies or threesomes, however, because they didn't just happen overnight. It was like one thing led to another, all orchestrated by Puff Daddy. Let's be completely honest, completely leading what was happening here. And, Cassie made it a point to kind of explain her reasoning in this. But again, within some of those messages, it was, her venting some of her frustrations about, you don't take my feelings into account in this, or, I X, Y, and Z, the things that he did that he wasn't acknowledging her in her feelings and her worth. So not surprised. Again, the trial just began. The trial is expected to be several months. It will be interesting kind of what goes on next week. Definitely keep you all posted. But yeah, this week with Cassie taking the stand, and I think we all kind of knew to expect that it was going to bring a lot of graphic information. A lot more, again, won't be discussing here because it's just a lot. So yeah, keep you all posted on that. Let's see what you guys have to say. And one of my other cats, Too Good. Yep, we got Too Good in here now. Yeah, there's a lot of Puff Daddy jokes going on right now based on the last couple of days of testimony that was very specific in regards to him physically. Diddy should have taken the deal. The feds don't lose. K-Dog, I 100% agree with you. 100%. But you can't have the defense of everything's consensual, but yeah, I'll take the deal. Like, it doesn't work. And someone like that who has gotten away with everything for decades is not going to admit defeat. He's not going to fall on his sword now. No, 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 no. Oh, totally. Absolutely, Tony Stewart. Yeah, like, oh, what was it? A couple of weeks ago, one of my coworkers, who, she'll put on like Spotify or something at work and just have music on in the background. And like every once in a while, there'll be a song that will come on. And like a few weeks ago, it was like a Puff Daddy one. I was like, can you just skip over that? It's too soon. TMZ just posted the Kathy chick is getting $10 million settlement from the hotel she was at because they didn't report it to the police. You know what? She deserves way more than that. And you know what? The hotel, like, come on, you knew. And do we really think this is the only time something like that ever happens there? No. Whoever decided to keep that recording, this is what led to where we are right now with that video and Cassie coming forward. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kane, totally. Oh, y'all are talking about Bill Belichick and his girl. Yeah, Bill Belichick, him and his girlfriend. Yeah, they have been getting a lot of scrutiny over some interviews and some comments that she has made. Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of that. I never knowingly heard a Diddy song. There's so many of them. Like he, over the last several decades, kind of like had his hand in so many different artists that he worked with that, yeah, I'm sure it would be surprising that the amount of kind of coverage he has over the industry. It's a lot. So yeah. But at this point in time, I can pretty confidently say, I'm sure a lot of us won't be hearing his music anytime soon. So we'll see. And what is Tuka doing? Well, there's something at my closet door that he's trying to get into. We'll see. So if you hear any noise, that's him batting at the door trying to get in there. All right. So moving on to, and I just have a little bit on this, but especially if some of you guys are in California, please weigh in. The Menendez brothers. Yes. So this week, a California judge, so on Tuesday, resentenced Eric and Lyle Menendez, now making them eligible for parole. So the ruling was from Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Michael Jusick. So Judge Jusick had said they would be resentenced to 50 years to life, a prison term that would make them immediately eligible for parole. He said he did not believe they posed, quote, an unreasonable risk, end quote, if released. A California parole board will now decide if Lyle and Eric are suitable for release. So right away, both Lyle and Eric gave statements via a video link after the judge's ruling. So Lyle said that he made no excuses for the killing of his parents, in acknowledging that he made, quote, a mockery of the legal system, end quote, after his arrest by seeking to have people perjure themselves on his behalf. Quote, today, 35 years later, I am deeply ashamed of who I was, end quote. So Eric, when it was his time to make a statement on the video link, he spoke a lot of the same. What he added was that he said that his crimes were, quote, cruel and vicious, end quote. And he added that he, quote, is directly responsible for it all, end quote. So the judge's ruling only makes the brothers eligible for parole, as I mentioned. There's multiple other steps to them possibly being released. So what that is the state's parole board will still have to find them suitable for release. And then that, if they determine that they are suitable for release, is subject to review by California Governor Gavin Newsom. So the parole board is expected to submit its clemency recommendation to the governor on June 13th. So just under a month. I don't know how long that Gavin Newsom would then have to decide if he either agrees that they're eligible for parole or to overturn it and say, no, you're not getting out. For some reason, 3 months, 90 days is sticking in my head, and I don't know why, but I know it's several months. And then for some reason, 6 months is also sticking in my head too. I'm like, is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? I can't quite remember. But either way, I'm really not sure yet if they're found suitable for parole and eligible. I don't know. I don't think Gavin Newsom would let them out. I don't know. I do stand by that. I do not think that they are, a safety, dangerous to society. I don't. Like I've said several times at this point, if both of them happen to move in next door to me, I would not bat an eye, meaning I wouldn't feel that I am at risk or, my safety's at risk. With that being said, do I think they should get out? No. But y'all know how mean I am. An eye for an eye and then some is my quote, and I stand by it. So no, you did what you did. So, but I have no say. It has nothing to do with me. I will just report to you guys, any updates that we get on it, and we'll kind of go from there. Again, I know several of you do live in California. So if you have any opinions on this or expertise or any insight into this is how Gavin Newsom's pretty much probably going to vote, by all means, please share that information. Hey, Matilda, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. And we'll be talking Karen Reed soon. And Matilda, I'm sure you've been following this case just as closely as I have. And yeah, a lot to talk about. But good to see you, Matilda. I hope you're doing well. K-Dog says, Menendez Brothers Mexican restaurants coming to a city near you. No. James, anyone done a Melendez? Oh my God, Beckham. Oh God, even when he's not here, it's like the ghost of Beckham just haunts my overall well-being. Anyone done a Melendez Brothers musical yet? My Karen Reed musical isn't doing so well. I'm looking for a new project. Honestly, James, this whole, what makes me nervous is, again, I don't agree with the Luigi Mangione musical. Is that opening the door for more of this? I think it will. I think it honestly will. And that is just something like that just scares the hell out of me. I don't know. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. Kane, I don't believe that they were abused. That's fair. That's one of the, one of the newer arguments that their attorneys are trying to argue is there's a lot more potential information that wasn't allowed at the first trial and so on and so forth. And again, you got to take their word against others. But I will say, regardless of that, I do find it interesting that their family, the family of their parents that they killed, supports them. They could easily be like, look, you killed our sister or my daughter, even though you're my grandkids, you killed my daughter, you killed my son, so on and so forth, right? They stand by Lyle and Eric. For whatever reason that is, sometimes it's could be for their own healing to move forward. I don't know. There could be several different people with several different reasons why they support them. But I do find that interesting that they have quite a bit of family support. And does that say something? It might. Newsom dropped the clemency. It goes straight to the parole board now. We missed you too, Matilda. We missed you too. Did you, Matilda, check out my, and I'm not saying this to like, be like, everybody go watch 3 hours of last week. But I did the live last week from the Cat Cafe. So even if you just like scroll through it to see the cats like moving around the background, like, oh my God, that was so much fun. So much fun. Again, shout out to the Kitty Cat Cafe and Lounge in Peabody for allowing me to use the space for the True Crime and Chill. They do amazing work, like absolutely amazing work. They're partnered with the shelter I volunteer at. And yeah, oh, can't say enough great things about them. And the cats, y'all, I stayed there for like probably like a good hour after I went live and like just like played with the cats and, you know, cat treats and all that stuff. They were, oh my God, so cute, so cute, so cute. I took several pictures and I did post those pictures on the Danny After Dark Instagram page as well as the Facebook page. So yeah, I went around and took pictures of each of the cats. I'm like, oh, they were so amazing. So amazing. Yeah. Oh, so it involves cats. Do I have to say anything more? Don't even listen to me talking true crime. Just go and watch the cats. Let's see. They stand by them, Danny, because Jose was evil and they all knew it. Oh, very fair. Very fair. I saw the photos. I want them all. Yeah, same. There was the one, oh my God, I'm blanking. What was the name of the Siamese one? That one just, I mean, I love every single cat I meet, let's be honest. But like the Siamese cat there, it's just stunning. I was like, oh, so sweet. So sweet. So yeah, that is that on the Menendez brothers. We'll keep y'all posted. And it might be a little bit before we get any information. Because again, Pro Board has till June 13th to submit something to Gavin Newsom. So we'll see. We will see. So one more before we get into Karen Reed. Brian Kohberger. So the little bit of information that we got this week, and I know some of you will be watching this in detail like I will be. The trial will be live streamed. Yes, like I said, the trial will be live streamed. It's expected to start August 11th. And the estimated length of the trial, it's going to be about 3 months is what they're saying. So what the jury might be facing is they're not going to be sequestered initially, but the court will have a plan in place in case media coverage makes it necessary to do so. So that will definitely put a twist on things because, again, a 3-month trial, that's a lot to ask of anyone. I mean, that is our country. That is what the Constitution is built on. Everybody has the right to a fair trial, and some trials last longer than others. And if you are called to serve, it's your right and privilege to do so. The kind of reality perspective is a trial lasting 3 months it's hard I have not been on one that long, but 3 months is a lot to ask in regards to people missing work. That's kind of the more simple, if somebody has kids that they need to attend to, maybe aging parents, sick family members. There's so many things that even if you're just traveling from your home day to day to go to the courthouse is a lot, let alone adding if the jury needs to be sequestered. That will be crazy. I mean, it happens, but yeah, I don't know how that will play out. Sequestered jury, did that come up? Yeah. So I think it's just going to be they'll see. But the comment of like, in case the media coverage makes it necessary to do so. I mean, based on the media coverage right now, I mean, it's going to pick back up obviously when the trial happens. But like everybody knows about this case, not just in the state of Idaho where the crime occurred. So I'm like, I would personally like to know a little bit more of what that means in regards to the media coverage making it necessary. Like, how crazy do they expect it to be to then say, you know what, we're going to sequester you? I don't know, but I'm very, very curious. And again, 3 months, that's a lot to ask. Can you imagine no internet for 3 months? I would go nuts. I mean, no internet, no family. Like, there's a, are they going to be putting them, but like, in what level of being sequestered, because there are different levels. And I know, like, if we, for example, go back to the Manson case, and yes, that was 1969. I know I'm dating things here, but when that jury was sequestered, I mean, that was a whole shit show in itself. Let's just call it like it is. But yeah, it's a lot to ask of people, especially because it's such a highly publicized case, and it has not even gone to trial yet. So I don't know. Hey, Ella. Yeah, you're right. You are right. Yep. K-Dog. Yep. See, you're absolutely right. I was a kid when that trial was going on. So like, I didn't, like, the impact of it didn't mean, I couldn't process it like I could now. Right. I mean, we all everybody watched that trial. Even as kids, we watched that trial. But I think from stepping back as a kid watching it, like, oh, the jury having to do, like, I just wasn't comprehending that deeply about it at that point, which is surprising because, yeah, that's just me. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. I can only reference the blood family. They did let some visits of family. I thought they did, Wolf. Yeah, but that whole but then some would argue like, well, wait a minute. I shouldn't be penalized because I don't have family. So I want my girlfriend to come stay over. Well, wait a minute. I don't have a girlfriend either. So why can't my barber come and cut my hair and my friends come visit? And they could talk on the phone. And that was, so like, they were not sequestered the way that they should have in that case. And think again, technology was very different, but I'm referencing the same book as you, Wolf, Blood Family. So that will be very interesting. It'll be very interesting. We'll see how that one plays out. But yeah, a little bit on Brian Koberger this week. I'm sure there'll be more next week because there seems to always be a little bit leading up. And we're in May now. Trial starts in August. And this has been long awaited, like a long awaited trial. OJ had no phones and had to watch, OJ jury had no phones and had to watch movies that someone selected. They didn't involve murder or reference to the case. Yeah, you're right. Yep. That is absolutely correct. Yeah. 9 months too. That, wild. And we saw how that verdict turned out, but that's a story for another day, folks. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to the name that James Watson dreams of, the name that Tony Stewart in the chat has never heard of. Matilda, I hope you are here. Karen Reed. This is the last one I'll be talking about tonight, but there's a lot. So if anybody is like, Danny, I am not interested in this case and you want to bow out now, totally feel free. And I will see you next week. But Karen Reed. So I will take you I know. I just think of James Watson and Karen Reed. What could be? Yes, Matilda. Yes. So Yuri Buchanan, also known as Bukaki, finished testifying on Monday. So some highlights that happened from there was Yuri Buchanan denied inverting the surveillance footage of Karen Reed's SUV sitting inside the Canton Police Department's Sallyport garage. Buchanan confirmed it was a mirrored image and agreed the video does show Trooper Proctor going toward the back of the SUV. He testified that him and Trooper Proctor followed Karen's SUV as it was towed from her parents' home in Dighton to the Canton Police Department. The two troopers didn't take any detours along the way, nor did they stop by Fairview Road. Buchanan testified that he also looked through Brian Higgins' text messages with John O'Keefe for any signs that Higgins had a motive to harm John O'Keefe. However, Buchanan told jurors he didn't find any evidence that pointed toward a motive. And to be fair, he also testified that there's no evidence that John was even aware of the flirty messages between Karen and Brian Higgins. So Alan Jackson was on cross-exam, and again, I mean, this was just Alan Jackson knows what he's doing and was very strategic, because we all know Alan Jackson is very vibrant, theatrical sometimes, but that's what's going to grab the jury. You're going to, instead of just, for example, Lally, who was the lead prosecutor last trial, it was just like a flat tone and it was boring. Alan Jackson's animated and he keeps you on the edge of your seat and on your toes. You listen when he speaks. He was a bit more calm and reserved dealing with Buchanan. We saw that at the end of last week going into this week, and come Monday, he was still the exact same. And I think it was very intentional and very effective, because it allowed the jurors just to focus solely on Yuri Buchanan's testimony. And it was just so damning against the state. So damning. So one of the things that Alan Jackson questioned was whether Brian Higgins might have been jealous of John O'Keefe in regards to the flirty messages with Karen Reed. And again, there was no evidence of that. And Yuri Buchanan, everything was pulling teeth. And Alan Jackson had the patience of a saint dealing with him. Like in regards to even something like, did you find these messages flirtatious or something like that? Well, the answer is yes, they're flirting. It's very bad flirting, like very, very bad flirting, but flirting nonetheless. And of course, Yuri Buchanan's like, well, no, I wouldn't call it that. I would call it that. And it's just like, dude, just say it was. Like, if you're going to if you're trying to be so evasive to answer those basic questions that are obvious, how can I believe the next thing that you're going to say? I just won't. All right. If any of you guys say Danny spoke very highly of you on the show that you weren't on, I will deny it. One of the great things that I love right now about Beckham is how much he's into this case. Like, he listens to it all. Like, each day it's streamed, he listens. And so it's so nice to have, and he's not from here. He's from Texas, as you guys know. So to have kind of a outsider looking in, if you will, who's so invested in this trial, and it's just so awesome to be able to message back and forth with him during the day. And like, sometimes it will even be, dude, and it's like, I know, like, it's like we don't even have to say it because we're both hearing the same thing, and like, we know. But yeah, there's a lot of Beckham, and he's so into this. And especially later this week, what I'll recap about what happened, especially yesterday. Oh my gosh, it was just like back and forth. Like, oh my God. So yeah, I love that Beckham has shown such an interest in this case, and I can really talk to him about it. With that being said, and I'm not, doxing like a personal conversation by any means, because Lord knows it's all over the internet right now about Brian Higgins. Like, oh my God, the flirting between him and Karen Reed. Like I said, it's atrocious. And of course, Beckham's just like, did you see? He's getting ripped apart online for like having no game and flirting. And I'm like, I know. It's so cringe. Because it's like, all right, we're not in middle school. We're not in middle school. If the two of you want to hook up, just go do it. Just do it. Deal with the fallout because of the situations you're in, but just go do it. Like, and again, not that I'm promoting like Karen Reed cheat on John O'Keefe. I'm not like, no, it's just more of the like back and forth of like, oh, you're so hot. What are your intentions with me? Like, but it's like, we're adults, but this is not middle school. Like this 2-week chat, like you could have just summed it up in one sentence. Just be direct. Just be direct. And it was just so frustrating. It was so frustrating because it was also so cringy. It was so cringy. And yeah, Beckham was just, very clear to be like, oh my God, Brian Higgins. And yeah. And if you can hear that, one of my cats is going crazy in one of the other room in the litter boxes, and I can hear it. And I hope it's not picking up on my mic, but it's quite loud. So yeah, that's cat mom life when you have 6 cats. So let's see, before I continue, I just want to just see where you guys are. Yeah, Ella, wild. K-Dog, if I'm on the jury, I'm wondering why an outside prosecutor, Hank Brennan, special prosecutor, is the evidence so bad local DAs can't handle it? K-Dog, yes, but another way to flip that is that the state has no faith in its own DAs. That they're just like, we have no faith in any of you. Let's hire Hank Brennan. And as I'll talk about how that went this week, how's that turning out for you? Not very good. A lot of people saying it was a master class in cross-examination. Oh, Matilda, yes. And then also Alessi later this week. Like, I am obsessed with Alessi. Like, he is the addition to the defense team that I didn't know we needed. That it feels like he's been here this whole time. He is smart. Alessi, and like I knew that going into this trial, just watching like the pre-hearings that has been put on TV that we've all been following. For those that live here, we're all following this. And he is so smart. He's like, nothing gets by him. He's quick on his feet. He misses nothing. And I could just watch Alessi all day cross-examine. Like, he talks a lot, but he's so intelligent. Love Alessi. Love Alessi. Nearly every witness the state has is skinned alive by the defense. K-Dog, yes. It's if the jury comes back a hung jury again, or on the rare chance they find her guilty, which, like, how the hell could that happen? Guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Like, come on. We haven't even gotten to the defense witnesses yet. That's the thing. These are still the states. And it's just, it hasn't turned out good. But I love that. Matilda, I love that so much. Beckham, yeah. I did my one good deed a year. I said something nice about Beckham. It's May. It's on the book. Let's record it. May 16th. I'll deny I ever said anything nice about him. All right, I'm good for the year. Moving on. Let's see. Beckham will research the hell out of something if he's into it. Very true. Very, very true. Beckham was not lying when me and Paul did like the true, I think it was the last true crime Ask Us Anything type of thing. I'm going to answer that one second. Shelly's research is unparalleled. Hey, Fiddle. Good to see you, hon. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, when me, Paul, and Beckham were first, during COVID, talking about like for the Manson show that we did, like it was like a lot of constant research and a lot of constant back and forth messaging. And like when Beckham is into it, when like I forget, I'm sure it's probably me that said it. Like it'll be like 3 a.m. and like my phone would ping and he'd be like, guys, look what I just read. And it's just like, like, do you not sleep? Like, oh my God. But like, yeah, when he gets into something, he is so into it, which is absolutely amazing. In regards to reading Google Docs that I sent him with like the weekly notes for the show we do on True Crime and Chill, does he read that in advance? No. And I think that speaks volumes, but I'm just saying. Let's see. Matilda, right? Yeah, he is, I was watching Defense Diaries with Bob Mata and Ali Mata, which, oh my God, y'all subscribe to that podcast, subscribe to their YouTube channel. Past 2 crime cons, I was able to meet Bob and Ali, and they're just amazing people too. Like, both defense attorneys, smart, but also amazing, just funny, good sense of humor people. And they were talking about like how much of a nerd Alessi is, but like in the best way. How like, no, he's smart, and he is just like, yeah, Bob, like you can tell he is just in awe of Bob Mata, is just in awe of Alessi. And like, I think, was it yesterday? He was just like, I could watch him all day. And I'm like, same. Let's see. Danny, the trial of Diddy is getting a lot of coverage in Australia. Really, Karen? That's interesting. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, Karen, absolutely. Yeah, I talked about that a little bit earlier on. But yeah, and it's been like very detailed, graphically detailed. I didn't get into all of that tonight, but yeah, so that's interesting that it's getting a lot of coverage where you are too. Good to know. All right, who else we got? No, we got Luke. Luke is in the back. Will probably piss off Selena, and there'll probably be a hiss, and I'll have to break it up. Alessi is so dialed in. Yeah, and I'm gonna get to him because yeah, so good later this week. But all right, so what else happened on Monday? So Alan Jackson referred to the surveillance footage of the Waterfall Bar and Grill and called attention to the gesture that Brian Higgins made on camera at one point toward the bar where O'Keefe was standing. So of course there was a lot of, was he motioning like, yeah, come outside, let's fight type of thing. You could argue it kind of either way, but Alan Jackson was making a point to show that, and rightly so. Buchanan confirmed that he, all right. For those who watched this and for those who didn't, feel free to rage in the chat right now. Yuri Buchanan confirmed that he praised Trooper Proctor for his, quote, utmost professionalism and competence, end quote, in a fall 2022 performance evaluation, even as he agreed that Trooper Proctor used, quote, vile, end quote, language just months prior while describing murder defendant Karen Reed. So Alan Jackson pointed out Buchanan's comments in the review, noted that Proctor faced, quote, pressure from external sources during the first day of the investigation, end quote. He further asked, Alan Jackson further asked Buchanan whether Trooper Proctor showed, quote, integrity, end quote, as an investigator when okay, before I get to the last part of that, do you remember last week when, Yuri Buchanan was standing by that Trooper Proctor had the utmost integrity during the entire investigation? He held on to that and would not let that go. And he used that word over and over again, integrity. So Alan Jackson, being so on the ball, was going to break that down, really break it down. So he asked whether Trooper Proctor showed, quote, integrity, end quote, as an investigator when he sent state trooper colleagues an August 17th, 22 text calling Karen Reed, quote, retarded, end quote, and commenting about looking for nude photos on her cell phone. So Yuri Buchanan, he did everything he could to go round and round and round this issue. And I really hope that was not lost on the jury, because again, you are the lead investigator that is on the stand for this case. Trooper Proctor was technically the lead investigator of this, but he's now fired. So Yuri Buchanan, you are the one representing. Two things can be true at the same time. You can present as best you can to represent the Mass State Troopers and your position and what you did in this case. And you can also do, like, just give a little bit, even if it's like there were things that, not that I'm like trying to advise him what to say or what he should have said, but it's like he wouldn't even give a little bit. And what I mean specifically was, Yuri Buchanan said, quote, "I cannot speak for Michael Proctor. It is unprofessional and unfortunate he said that," end quote. So Alan Jackson was not letting that go, though, and was trying to show it was not just Trooper Proctor in this, because there were so many other coworkers and colleagues in that text chain. And so Yuri Buchanan was his Trooper Proctor supervisor. Yuri Buchanan's supervisor, his supervisor, was also in that text chain. So several supervisors in that, right? So Alan Jackson was, of course, very animated, appeared skeptical at Trooper Buchanan's description of the text chain, noting that, again, Proctor sent it to several state police colleagues and supervisors. So in regards to Buchanan, he said, again, he does not justify Trooper Proctor's words, but Alan Jackson pointed out that Yuri Buchanan, so not only saw the text, but gave it a thumbs up emoji. Quote, "The fact is, Sergeant, he put it in writing and you liked it, correct?" End quote. Yuri Buchanan, again, could not give a straight answer and says, quote, "I acknowledged the text message. I never saw the vile term," end quote. Like, what the hell? Like, the jury, and I'm thinking, you're insulting the jury. I hope that all of them see through that bullshit and like, wait, he can't even answer a simple question here. He's been dodgy with everything. Yeah, it sometimes takes 18 months to write a report. Yeah, we didn't, tape off the scene. Yeah, we didn't write, some reports we just didn't write. Like, everything that, like, what the hell? I hope that the jury sees that. Where's Capone? I don't know where he is this evening, but hopefully he's having an awesome Friday night. Hi, Tony L. Good to see you. Tony, I think last night in the chat said the wrong place of where you are. I think I said, it hit me after. I was like, oh my God, did I say the wrong place? I think I said, oh, Tony's from Brazil. And then when I'm like, wait a minute, Portugal? And I went back and forth in my mind and I'm like, I know this. Why am I blanking? So my apologies if I said the wrong place last night when I introduced you to Marie, who I had on last night. I no idea where my mind was in that. So my apologies if I got the wrong place, Tony. Hi, Dan. Where's Beckham? Beckham has the night off. I did not approve it, but nonetheless, no, he's not available tonight. And yeah, he said that last week that he wasn't going to be available this weekend. So it's just me, but don't get me wrong. I have a lot of Beckham input on the case, the Karen Reed case of what happened this week, because needless to say, it was just back and forth like every single, like, did you hear that? Oh my God, dude, I know. Like, yeah, that's what this trial does. Some of the things in the retrial made me feel like they should just end the trial and let Karen go. 100%. We'll get into more of that in regards to the medical examiner who performed the autopsy. But Wolf, you are 100% spot on. If this is a mistrial, do you think they'll try a third? K-Dog, I think they will. I think the state is so adamant to pin this on Karen Reed, even though it makes them look so bad. After the first trial, like, think of the incompetency and how bad every professional who touched this case did. Like, no one came out of this like, hey, you did a good job handling this. And that's a problem. That is a problem. Trooper Proctor took the brunt. I mean, rightly so. Others should have gone down for this, and they didn't. So the fact that the state was so adamant of like that day it was declared a mistrial. They were on the steps of the courthouse saying, we're going for a retrial. We're going to do this again. Like, really? And look how that's turning out. But I think they will. K-Dog, I think they will. Charming Danny? What did I miss? I am from Brazil, Danny, and spent a lot in winter. Okay, so I was right on both ends. Okay. I like see, like, that's the thing. I like walked away from the interview. I was like, oh, that was awesome. Marie is so badass. I absolutely love her. And then I'm like, oh my God, did I say the wrong place that Tony was from? So, okay. Thank you for setting the record straight. I would hope the Supreme Court would say no. I don't know. Yeah. So, all right. Keeping on with Yuri Buchanan. So one of the things that Alan Jackson was asking was about when the investigators learned about Lucky Loughran, the snowplow driver. And Yuri Buchanan's on the stand. He's just like, oh, well, I forget his exact quote, but it was something like, we didn't learn about him for a while. And do you know why that is? For those who don't know, Turtle Boy was the one who was responsible, hands down, for the Free Karen Read movement. He is the one, whether you love him or hate him, he is the one who did the research and found Lucky Loughran and interviewed him and put that on his blog, on his channel. And Lucky Loughran was like, yeah, no one has ever come to me. Like, I think about it. The city hired him to do the snow plowing. You'd think he would be a great witness. Couldn't he? If you're the state, he could corroborate your story, unless your story is bullshitting. You're trying to frame Karen Read. And interesting that no one from the state went to interview him. Turtle Boy found him and put that interview out. And as soon as that went out, then of course the state is like, oh shit, now we have to do something and interview him. So yeah, when of course Yuri Buchanan kind of left out, like, we didn't hear about him we didn't interview him for a long time. You left out because we didn't do our job. And we didn't even make an attempt to try to find him until it was basically put in our faces online and we couldn't ignore it anymore. And then we did. Yeah, he didn't quite word it like that, but he should have. So going back quickly, I jumped a bit out of order for this, but that's okay. In regards to Alan Jackson talking to Yuri Buchanan about Trooper Proctor, one of the things that Alan Jackson said was, quote, you certainly did nothing. You took no action to stop him from potentially looking for naked pictures of my client, correct? End quote. And Yuri Buchanan commented, quote, that's correct, end quote. So Alan Jackson asked if he stood by his testimony last week, as I mentioned, that Trooper Proctor investigated John O'Keefe's death with integrity. And Yuri Buchanan said he did. So if you're thinking, wait a minute, Danny, we just talked about that. It goes back and forth. So there was multiple times that this was brought up because, again, Yuri Buchanan was so evasive and Alan Jackson was not going to let it go. Alan Jackson, like, on the one hand, I don't want to say he played his game, like Trooper Buchanan's game, because Trooper Buchanan was not in charge and not smart enough to lead that. But Alan Jackson knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He had the patience to do it, and he did it flawlessly. Like, much props to Alan Jackson for this. So Yuri Buchanan confirmed again that he took no remedial action against Trooper Proctor, his subordinate. Jackson prompted, do you think it shows integrity? End quote. Buchanan says that text message does not show integrity. So Jackson asked, do you think it shows honor, a word I expect you to hold dear? Buchanan says that text message does not show honor. So that, again, Alan Jackson had to break it down. And that was like pulling teeth, but he got it out of him nonetheless. Let's see quickly where you guys are in the chat. That one witness that said they saw Karen in the car with no passenger and nobody was in the yards. Whoa, yeah, that was last week. 100%. That was Ryan Nagel and his girlfriend. Yeah. Yep. 100%. 100%. So in regards to Brian Higgins, so we saw footage from the Canton Police Department. So remember, Brian Higgins, yes, he was the one with those flirty, horrifically flirty text messages. And he was at 34 Fairview that night. He was drinking at the waterfall and all of that. And he left Fairview to go to Canton Police. And what he testified on the stand in the first trial was that, oh, Selena waking up from her nap, was that he went to Canton PD because there was a snowstorm, to move cars. That is what he said on the stand last trial. Footage from the Canton PD that night was not shown at the first trial, but it was shown this trial. So the footage that was showed was a video of a Jeep arriving at the station, parking in the lot in the early hours of January 29th, 2022. Alan Jackson pointed out clips of an individual exiting the vehicle, crossing the parking lot, walking through a hallway inside the station. And Yuri Buchanan identified him, the man in the footage, as Brian Higgins. So let's see. Buchanan testified. Let me see. Oops, sorry, jumping ahead. In regards to the video footage that was shown, Brian Higgins was inside, and they broke it down by like the amount of seconds that he was in there, showed footage of him outside. And at one point outside, there is a light, and the light in his hand goes up to his face, which indicates it was a cell phone. So he was making a call to somebody. He moved one car, but that was it. And there was a truck that he parked near, and he was either putting something in the truck or getting something from the truck. I think he was putting something in the truck. I can't remember. But again, the reason that he said he went there on the stand last trial, there's video showing you lied. That's not why you, look at what you did. And again, it shows all the footage of him, and then it shows him driving away. So the story that he said on the stand last trial, lie. Bullshit. It was a lie. But anyway, so then the question is, who was he on the phone with at that time? Was it somebody from 34 Fairview? I think we can all pretty much say yes. And again, Brian Higgins, totally not making people aware of his relationship in regards to the full extent to his relationship to people in the house. But we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that because there's more. Let me just see where you guys are. Yes, Matilda, thank you. That stuck with me because she was a totally independent witness. Heather, yeah, because she's no longer with Ryan Nagel. They broke up. They were together at the time, but they broke up. So she, at this point, she's not involved with them anymore. So, but I know I agree. When it was snowing, you really pay attention to your surroundings. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is so much reasonable doubt that's never going away. She could use a public defender next time and be just fine. I don't think so. Because, the saying, you get what you pay for? She really, she's in a lot of debt because of hiring the team that she did. But this team is fighting tooth and nail for her. Not to say public defenders don't do that, but public defenders can be they're given so many cases. It's not like they just work one case at a time. So her team is dedicated to her. So yeah, I think she really made the best decision in that, in hiring them. Beckham, you have been talked about so much in this chat. People, where's Beckham? Where's Beckham? Where's Beckham? So, hello. Matilda, so we're talking about Karen Reed. So many people were caught lying on the grand jury. Karen should have never been indicted. Matilda, 100%. The medical examiner can't even say whether this was a murder or an accident. Like, are you kidding me? But we're going to get to that. So we're still on Monday, but wrapping that up. So Yuri Buchanan testified that shortly before he and Trooper Proctor interviewed Chris and Julie Albert, Trooper Proctor disclosed to Yuri Buchanan that he knew the family, quote, from around town, end quote, and was friendly with them. Yuri Buchanan had questioned Trooper Proctor about the extent of the relationship, and Trooper Proctor said he didn't, quote, hang out, end quote, with the Alberts and just happened to know them through mutual acquaintances. Like we all know at this point, and it came out at first trial, how much of a bullshit answer that is. He has much more ties with that family, like the McCabe Albert family. The babysat his kids, I think just like the week or two before. So to be like, oh, I know them from around town. Like, again, lies. And yeah, I am glad Yuri Buchanan testified to this on the stand. I feel like this was one of the very few ways that he would kind of throw Trooper Proctor under the bus. I mean, he really did not want to at all say anything bad about him, but there was some comments like this where, and I don't think the jury knows quite the extent. Like, they might just hear this and go, oh, they don't know quite the extent yet that people from the first trial, the jurors from the first trial, knew about the dynamics of this relationship. They'll get to it. Like, they will get to it. But yeah, this was like one of those few moments where I was like, oh, okay, so we're minimizing the relationship here. Okay. Matilda, his mother, called the Proctors their second family. Right. That's a very interesting comment, Matilda, from people that you just kind of see around town, know it from around town. I really want the defense to call him back as one of their witnesses, Trooper Proctor. The way it's going, I've been following a lot of reporters that they're covering this case, and the consensus seems to be no, they're not going to call Trooper Proctor. They really should. It's just my opinion. Do with it what you will, but I think they really should. Ella, has anyone talked about the jury's expressions? Or I know the judge had to remind them not to talk under their breaths and no facial expressions. Yes, Ella. So, okay. The other day that conversation came about, and it's still a little bit debated because hot mic moment, there was, was it Yannetti was cross-examining one of the witnesses? Do I have who specifically that was? What day it was? I don't see that in my notes. I actually have the screen grab video though, but it's basically Yannetti was cross-examining and Judge Bev didn't allow something, and Yannetti, which y'all know I love Yannetti. And he was very aggressive and was like, I want a sidebar now. Whatever his I'm blanking on the exact words, but it was funny because Liz texted me right away. I was at work and she's just like, Yannetti is being so aggressive, be aggressive or demanding a sidebar. And I was like, oh, I love it. But anyway, I didn't hear it at the time. And then somebody posted a screen grab video and it went viral. So he demands a sidebar. They all start to, your man, I know. Yanetti's just, oh my God. Oh my God. I may have like a screen grab or 2 or 5 of him, like just like on cross, just like stretched out with his arm, looking all powerful. Like, oh, Yannetti. But anyway, that's just my fantasies there. Yeah. And Judge Bev sits, gets up from her chair, and then you hear asshole. So of course the internet went wild, because everybody thought, and it's still not sure. Nothing has been confirmed, I should say, who said that. Was it Judge Bev? Because if she did, as the judge, and that mic picked that up, that's horrific. There's then there was also speculation that was it a juror in the mic picked that up, which that would be a problem too. If a juror's, calling Yannetti an asshole, because then, are you taking your feelings about him out on his client? Would that impact your decision, your vote when it comes time, if she's guilty or not? I don't know. But it was quite a hot mic moment. You can find the clip. It's all over online. I just heard this week that the judge picks the jury foreman in mass first trial, but she picked a former cop. Yes. Journalists in court reporting smirking, laughing at few parts of AJ's cross. Yes, Matilda, that as well. And that's horrible. That has to be said. I know also, Ella, that, so I follow Christina Rex, news reporter, on Instagram, and I encourage everybody to do so. She is in the courtroom every single day, and she does like recaps in 10 minutes or less, and her recaps are very detailed. She's awesome. Awesome. So what she was reporting a couple of days ago in one of her recaps, no, I lied. It was last week. It was when Jessica Hyde was testifying, when she was on the stand. She said it. She's like, Christina Rex says something like, I typically don't comment about the jurors and their responses, but she noted, and I don't have Christina Rex's exact quote, forgive me, but it was during Jessica Hyde's, like, people were yawning. They were kind of looking down. It was very clear that they were bored, like visibly clear. And it wasn't just like one juror or 2 jurors. It was a decent amount, which I found very interesting. I'm not surprised. I mean, we all, for those of us who are watching this whole thing, we sat through Jessica Hyde's testimony, and that was very, very painful. But yeah, it's, oh man. I just want to know who said asshole called. One, I want to see who called my man David Yannetti an asshole, and 2, they need to find out who that was, because that's not good. Whoever said that, not good. So that was Monday with Yuri Buchanan. Tuesday, there was no court, and oh my God, conspiracy theories running rampant. So we're all waiting for it to start. It didn't start. And then there was this pop-up, no court for, quote, unforeseen circumstances, end quote. So of course it's like, well, what does that mean? I know, again, I listened to Bob Motta and Ali Motta on Defense Diaries. So they were like, they had no idea. And so they're kind of like, what could it be? But as defense attorneys, they're like, well, we can say what it's not. Like, I think someone in their chat was like, oh, is a juror sick? And Bob was like, they wouldn't cancel for that here, because that's what alternates are for, so on and so forth. So they were like, we can confidently say court is never canceled for X, Y, and Z, which was very helpful. And then it wasn't until, at least for me, it wasn't until later that night, Tuesday night, when I went on Instagram, and then I saw the reason why it was canceled that day was because Karen Reed was sick. So that's why there was no court on Tuesday. So before I move on to Wednesday, watching from the jury box and watching it TV are very different. Oh, 100%. And as it should be. Yeah, absolutely. Was it a male or female voice? I thought it was female. To me, it sounded female. That's why I thought it was Judge Bev. Maybe McLaughlin. I don't know. I think they need to find out who that was because, yeah, it's like unacceptable. Unacceptable. So, Wednesday on the stand. So, all right, trying to go in order here. So Maureen, forensic scientist Maureen Hartnett testified the longest on the stand on Wednesday. So she testified that she noticed damage on the rear passenger side of Karen Reed's Lexus SUV as she examined the vehicle at the Canton Police Department on February 1st, 2022. She testified that she swabbed for blood on various parts of the vehicle's undercarriage, but the negative test results indicated that either no blood was present or that there was not enough blood that could be detected. So turning her attention to the SUV's rear bumper, Maureen Hartnett told jurors she spotted scratches and apparent glass shards resting there. So looking at other photos of the SUV, Maureen Hartnett also noted an apparent hair that she discovered on the back of the vehicle, as well as a cluster of scratches, chipped paint, and a dent. Robert Alessi cross-examined and pointed out the forensic scientist's analysis can't determine when the damage to Karen Reed's SUV actually occurred. He said, quote, "You had no way on February 1st and you have no way today of knowing whether any or all that damage was pre-existing before January 29th of 2022, correct?" End quote. And she responded, quote, "That's correct," end quote. Alessi had followed up with, to your knowledge, as you sit here today, is there any information from anybody that says there's any DNA in that taillight, end quote. And Maureen Hartnett responded, quote, "I have no information of that," end quote. So returning to a photo of Karen Reed's rear bumper, Alessi questioned whether one of the sticker markers marking an apparent piece of glass was actually a mirror image or reflection of another sticker. Because we all know about the mirrored image from the Sally Port in regards to the timestamp from the first trial. So this, where it's like, are we really bringing up the possibility of another mirror image? Maureen Hartnett acknowledged it was a possibility, but she wasn't sure from the photo. So Alessi also compared photos of the apparent hair as it clung to Karen Reed's SUV, noting its position appeared vastly different between the two photo shots. And you guys, if you have not seen those photos, can find them online, and they do look very different, I will say. And one thing to note here is if you're thinking, okay, there's one solo hair on the car. How is that possible? How is that possible? Because let's keep in mind here, that car went through several days of driving back and forth, after John O'Keefe was found, think about it. Where was Karen Reed after all that time? She went back to John's. She went to her parents in Dighton. So lot of back and forth driving during a storm, during a blizzard. So there's all this snow that is coming and settling on the car. And then that snow is melting. So how would a hair stay on there? It does not make sense when you think of the conditions and the elements and all of that. It does not make sense that hair would have stayed there. For me, it doesn't. It does not make sense. Someone might argue and say, like, Danny, it is possible. Okay. In my mind, I'm like, that just doesn't add up to me. Capone, people were asking where you are. I hope you are doing well. I just said it was Friday night. I hope you were having a great time, but sounds like you are. But is it really that controversial? No, but if it was Judge Bev calling one of the defense attorneys an asshole, that's a big deal. If it was a female juror, like, it's a big deal because it should not have happened. And yeah, the mic picked it up. Danny, I had to run to Walmart for you mean USB or cable? Well, that sounds very exciting, Tony Stewart. Let's see. I snuck out. Teacher was busy. I noticed your absence. I noticed it. Capone coming in hot. I know. So that was Wednesday. There were also a few other people on the stand. I'm not going to get into their testimony because I really didn't think it added much of anything. But the other people on the stand were Sergeant Brian Gallerini, Sergeant Evan Brent. So Sergeant Evan Brent was Massachusetts State Police, Sergeant Brian Gallerani, Needham Police Department, Sergeant Zachary Clark, Massachusetts State Police, and then John O'Keefe's niece also was on the stand on Wednesday, but because she is a minor, the audio and camera are not, it was not advertised or broadcasted. And that was the same last trial, in the first trial when she testified. So in regards to any recap of what she said, there were reporters that were there in court that were then able to make notes and then report on it later. But they, had to put their electronics away and everything. Like, it was very clear, like, she cannot be recorded, audio or physically as well. So that was on Wednesday. So Thursday, Maureen Hartneck was back on the stand for cross-examination with David Alessi. So Alessi got from her in regards to how she scraped debris off of items. But in this, oh man, again, one of those things where I'm like, how does this make sense, how this case was handled? So she would scrape debris off of items, but then put them all in the same evidence bag. And she was like, I didn't examine them, I just packaged it. So now all of these individual things in regards to what you're scraping, and then you're just tossing it in one bag. That I don't understand that reasoning, but I'm really glad that Alessi got that out of her on cross, because like, that's like basic 101. Why would you do that? Like, again, this whole trial is Karen Reed guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? In, like, again, it's like every single person who touches this case, it's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But that's not the best thing that happened on Thursday. That is not the best thing. So, let's get into it. Dr. And I'm totally going to butcher her name, even though I worked on pronouncing it correctly. Dr. Irini Scortibello. So she's a state medical examiner. She is the one who performed the autopsy on John O'Keefe on January 31st. And this was one of those witnesses on the stand where me and Beckham were just back and forth messaging, like, oh my God. It was just wild. So for those of you who watched and listened, like, if you know, but I'll fill you in if you don't know. So John's cause of death, she ruled as blunt force trauma to the back of his head, as well as hypothermia. But in regards to what was the predominant cause of death, it was the blunt force trauma, with hypothermia being secondary. John's manner of death, undetermined. Still to this day, undetermined. And she said because she could not determine between an accident or a homicide. So obviously the state asked her a lot more kind of technical questions about the autopsy, her credentials, how many autopsies she has performed in her career. I mean, thousands. Like, she is smart and she knows what she's doing in her field. And what I liked about her too is, again, she's a state witness, but she's also no bullshit. Like, you could tell, like, she was just like, I'm giving the answers. Like, you're asking me the questions, I'm giving you the answers. Kind of whether this is the answer you want to hear or not, basically, is the type of vibe that she gave. Keep in mind, she did testify also at the first trial, and it benefited the defense more. Dr. Scortibello is also the one that, if you listen to the first trial, that the, Trooper Proctor and, that crew were texting about in regards to that he couldn't convince the medical examiner to kind of just, issue the manner of death, like to benefit them. And one of his colleagues made the reference during the first trial, in the text messages that we all heard. It was just like, oh, come on, rookie, like, basically like get her to be a team player and to give what we want for this. And she wasn't doing it. So again, defense witness, prosecution state witness. She is the state medical examiner who performed the autopsy. And now we get to cross-exam. And it was the best thing ever. Alessi. Like, I have always been an Alessi fan. Oh my God. Oh my God. K-Dog, the prosecution's own witness made them look like fools. K-Dog, right? Right. Tony Stewart, are you watching the trial? I agree, K-Dog. Tony Stewart, be honest. Are you watching the trial? And then you come in here being like, who's Karen Reed? I don't know. Danny, I don't know who you're talking about. Tony Stewart, give an answer. Matilda loved. Oh, well, that's disappointing. That is so disappointing. I think you're lying. Yeah, see? Oh, Matilda, right? K-Dog, right? Tony Stewart, who is denying that he watches the trial, right? All right, cross-exam, David Alessi. So, what, in a nutshell here. So, Dr. Scortibello said that Michael Proctor, former Trooper Michael Proctor, is the one that informed her of the state's theory about the case. And Alessi shows her and the jury a photo of two state troopers at the autopsy. Yes, they are gowned in, masked up, but it is, and she's saying, when she's asked, can you identify who these two men are in the photo? She's like, I can't really, for certain say. But in the end, the photo is deemed to be of Trooper Keefe and Trooper Proctor that were present at the medical examiner's office for the autopsy. Okay. But let's pause and go back to earlier this week. So Trooper Keefe testified that he was there for the autopsy, but he testified that he was alone. And he was very adamant that he was the only state trooper there for the autopsy. So he basically perjured himself on the stand. Or, as we see with everybody in this case, I'm sure, I forgot. Maybe he just forgot. But I mean, that is damning. Because I hope the jury has that note of like, no, this trooper was adamant that he was the only one there, but yet here's a photo of Trooper Proctor. Why is he there? So that's that. There was a lot of discussion about hypothermia as well. So John O'Keefe's body temp was 80.1 when they took that body temperature measurement. So of course, there's a lot of talk of, okay, he was outside. If he was outside for this long, what would his body temperature be? So on and so forth in different scenarios. So there's a lot of talk about that as well. Alessi had asked Dr. Scordivello if she looked for other possible scenarios for determining if something else could have caused these injuries. She said no, it was just based on the information that she had in front of her. So David Alessi had asked if the injuries on John O'Keefe's eye could be consistent with a punch. She said yes, it could be. And I will say there were photos that were shown to the jury of a lot of the injuries to John O'Keefe. Not all of those were shown on TV. They showed the ones of his arms, which we had already seen, but some of the more graphic ones, they were not shown to the public. And I think that was absolutely the right call, because there's no reason we should be seeing those photos. And there was at one point, one of the jury members, after seeing one of the photos of, I think it was John O'Keefe's, like inside one of his organs, like these photos were very graphic and very, like, they are legit, like they are autopsy photos. They're not, it's just horrific because there's his family in the courtroom, his friends. And like, even if you're a juror who did not know John O'Keefe, which, you know, all of them on the jury don't know him, these images are still horrifying. They're horrifying to look at. And one of the jury members was just like, break, like, I need a break right away. So I think they took like a 5-minute break at one point. But yeah, one of the jury members, it was very clear that, like, after seeing this, needed a break right away. Let's see. It seems that corners tend to be no nonsense and honest in most trials. Most. One of the books that I'm out working on notes right now to do a book review for y'all is actually a book by Dr. Michael Bodden. I've talked about him so many times on this channel before, but again, same thing, you know, and he actually got demoted because he wasn't being a team player. You know, he was doing the autopsies and doing them honestly and going with what the science and the body was saying. And some law enforcement were like, well, no, if you just write this, then we'll get the guy. And it's like, but that doesn't align with what the evidence, it was just, yeah. But Dr. Bodden, you know, he well-known, respected in the field, but yeah, he really took a hit in his career for not being a team player. You know what I mean? But I get what you're saying, K-Dog. But yeah, Dr. Scordivello was, yeah, she was very, you're asking me a question, I'm going to answer it. All right. Okay. So in regards to, all right, y'all, Hank Brennan. So he goes back to Dr. Scordivello for redirect, and he never should have done that. He never should have done that. So the thing with Hank Brennan, and I've said it since day one, before the retrial started, just on these like pre-trial hearings and motions that we've seen, Hank Brennan, it's like he can't hold his emotions in. And when he gets flustered, it's very apparent. He never should have redirected. He never should have done that. When this was happening, and please, for those of you who watched it, like, let me know your thoughts. I was listening and I'm thinking, I had to go back at first because I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think I'm hearing this right. For a second, I thought, because Hank Brennan is a defense attorney. Like, he has a history of being a defense attorney. He was a defense attorney for Whitey Bulger. Yes, he has history, you know, in his career as being a prosecutor, but mostly for being a defense attorney. I was listening and I'm like, did he forget that he's actually on the prosecution right now? He's like, the way he was redirecting, I'm like, he's handing this over to the defense on a silver platter. Like, I really was like, oh my God, he forgot which side he's on. It was that painful. It was that bad. It was so bad. He is the worst at redirect. Yes, he can't hold his emotion. Like, it was almost just like ego. Yes, K-Dog. like trying to get in his mind. It's like, okay, Alessi did excellent at cross-exam. And apart, like, what Hank Brennan should have just cut his losses, but he didn't. And it just, I really was just like, why isn't the judge like, I know that's not how real life court works, but like the jury, like, I'm like, how are they not here? Like, oh, we're ready to hearing this being like, we're just going to vote not guilty at this point. Like, come on, we don't need to go through another few weeks. We're good. All right. So for those who did not watch it, I encourage you to go back to Thursday and just go to, I mean, watch Alessi on cross. Alessi's just amazing at what he does. But if you're like, I don't have that much time in my day, go to Hank Brennan's redirect. Please, you will not be disappointed, I assure you. All right. So it was like he was asking questions to get her to say a certain answer, and she wasn't giving the answer he wanted to hear. And again, this is my interpretation of it. It's like he just couldn't let it go. He couldn't let it go to the point where, like, again, Dr. Scortibello she's going to answer the questions, whether you want it or not. And she did. All right. So to sum it up, she said the injuries are not consistent with a car accident. She says, I can't give you a manner of death. She can't even say it was a homicide. And she said that on the stand. She can't even say it was a homicide. So again, this is the prosecution's own medical examiner. Let me repeat that. This is the prosecution, the state's own medical examiner. The fact that there's a trial right now and she can't even say a homicide occurred. She can't even say his injuries are consistent with a car accident. She did admit that she was given a lot of information by Trooper Proctor about his theory. And as we knew from those text messages, his coworkers are making fun of him, like, hey, you rookie, you couldn't get her to, basically give the cause of death, manner of death, all of that fun stuff to fit what Trooper Proctor wanted as the cause and manner of death. No. But she admitted he gave her a lot of information about his theory. Again, just recapping, it really was like that Hank Brennan was trying to discredit his own witness, his own medical examiner. It was painful, but it was also so, like, I was giddy listening to it. 'Cause I'm like, oh my God, he's handing this over to the defense. I seriously have this note in my doc right here, like 3 or 4 times. And my note says, it's like he forgot he was a prosecutor in this case and not a defense attorney. It was wild. Bill. Hey, Bill. Hey, hon, I hope you're doing well. I remember when it first, unfolded? Is that what you mean? Oh, you and Kane are talking. Okay. All right. Sorry. That's what I get for going the wrong way in the comments. That's what I get. Not to change the subject, but I read the Coburg. Tony Stewart, you missed that. I talked about that earlier. Yes, it will be. It will be. Ta-da. Hey, Bill. All right. One theory I saw is people for the state would cough at times as a signal to the witness. Interesting. Last year, Proctor was asked in all of his years how many autopsies he had were undetermined. He said 0. And there it is, Matilda. And there it is. Yeah, I didn't give you permission. Tony Stewart. Yeah. Oh, it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So then we go to, so there was, once the jury was dismissed, Hank Brennan was trying to argue, and I'll get to that in a little bit, because the Judge Cannone made a decision today, and it's wild, but we'll get to that after. So okay, court today, it wasn't super eventful. The two people that were on the stand, honestly, so Andre Porto as well as Ashley Valaire, I was just like, oh my gosh, they're both like, I don't know if they take the stand very often, because they both seemed a bit on the shy side, or uncomfortable on the stand side. That's kind of my interpretation of them. So basically with Andre Porto, he's Mass State Police Crime Lab on cross with David Yannetti. He talked about all of the clothing that he examined from John O'Keefe, and on several pieces of the clothing, and in the questioning, it was very specific as to, for example, on the right pant leg of the jean in this specific area, who's, in regards to contributing DNA, who that was on it, so on and so forth. So there was a lot of talk about that. But the takeaway from that is, on John O'Keefe's clothing, on different articles of clothing, there was different amounts of DNA contributors. That was so Boston, contributors. Oh my gosh, it's getting late. The Boston accent's coming out. So, for example, one article of clothing had 3 contributing different DNA on it. One article of clothing had 5. In regards to who the others were, they were able to determine that on each of his clothing, shocking, John O'Keefe's own DNA was on it. It's like, okay, but who were the other people? Whose other DNA was this? And Andre had to admit on cross, they never tested it for anybody else. So Andre literally said, quote, could be anybody, end quote. And so David Yannetti, he didn't just make this a vague and kind of, okay, on all of these clothings. No, he broke it down. On his jeans in this spot, there was 3 different DNA, types of DNA. On his shirt in this spot, there was, 5 different, so on and so forth. It was very specific. And again, the state police crime lab, they didn't test it to see whose else's it were. How? And David, even asked, did you take, think of all the people that were there that night at the bar and at the house. Okay, let's go with even if you don't think he went into the house, which is bullshit, he was at the bar with these people. Why wouldn't you take their DNA to match to see if it aligned with that? They never did. And so David Yannetti was like, did you take Brian Higgins' DNA? No, I did not. Did you take Brian Albert's DNA? No, I did not. Just went through the list. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. And then, in regards to this article of clothing with the 3 other contributors, did you test to see who else it was? No, quote, could be anybody, end quote. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. It was just unbelievable. But not because this is the trial and this is the case that it is, and no one's doing their job. It was just crazy. So Ashley Valaire, Mass State Police Crime Laboratory, she is the one who, if you remember from last trial, pieced back together all of the pieces and shards of the glass and plastic. She analyzes if it was the same glass and same plastic. She talked a lot about the taillight fragments. Nothing, I didn't take away, nothing mind-blowing from her testimony, but again, she was on the stand today for that. So the court today ended early, and there was a meeting which we all got to see, and it was between the defense, the state, and Judge Bev. in this. I'm stunned that this is happening. So again, as I kind of briefly alluded to earlier, Hank Brennan was arguing yesterday about wanting to allow the prosecution's expert to testify on, and there's this whole thing about the clocks and the timing. And let me get into that. The fact that Judge Bev is allowing this right now, it blows my mind, because it's like we're almost halfway through the trial, and now the prosecution is going to be like, hey, we have an expert that says something different about the timing of when we think this happened. So we're going to, we want our expert to testify on this. And it's like, well, wait a minute. All these other witnesses that were put forward that were already, testified, cross-examined, sometimes recrossed, so on and so forth. Opening statements have been done, and everything is based on what the state has going into trial. So it's like, how the hell the judge allowed this in blows my mind, but I think it also speaks volumes to what side the judge is on. All right, let me be more specific. So Judge Cannoni told the attorneys that she will allow the prosecution's expert to testify about an explanation for the differential between the clocks on two electronic devices relevant to the case, and that she would allow the defense to cross-examine him about whether a sequestration order was violated. So and I'm taking this right off of the Court TV page. So this next paragraph is strictly them. They say, while Reed's SUV indicates a, quote, trigger event, end quote, occurred at 12:31:38, John O'Keefe's phone shows he manually locked it at 12:32:09. The prosecution's witness is expected to testify that the phone clock was 21 to 29 seconds fast, and that the locking of the phone, an event logged by the SUV, actually occurred at approximately the same time. Judge Cannoni also said she might allow the defense to recall some witnesses if necessary. So keep in mind, she's not saying I will allow you. She's saying I might. And the prosecution, again, she might allow them to conduct limited rebuttal, end quote, late in the trial. Like, what the hell? What the hell? If this was the defense that was coming in on May 16th and was like, hey, one of our expert witnesses, we're going to change the time of when, this, and you mean to tell me Hank Brennan would just sit there and be like, okay, and Judge Bev would sit there and be like, sure. Think of how she allowed Hank Brennan to make such a tizzy over ARCA. Remember ARCA? Those two ARCA accident reconstructionists had to come, was it 2 weeks ago, for a voir dire, because Hank Brennan was so up in arms over this report that, again, that nothing has been hidden. Everything has been given. He just doesn't like the answer that an independent, crash reconstructionist company that was hired by the feds because of the poor handling of this case, that it doesn't work out in the state's favor. So Judge Bev, oh yeah, we have to do a voir dire here in regards to this. So this should have been the same type of treatment. And one of the things that Alessi was the one arguing this to Judge Bev, and I think he did a great job of this. It's just Judge Bev, her bias is so obvious. And, was saying, we want a voir dire. And Judge Bev didn't think it was necessary. So okay, I'm all worked up right now. Let's take a step back. During the first trial, the state, the prosecution, in regards to their timeline of when the accident happened and all of this, that changed the first trial as well, based on Jen McCabe's testimony. So it changed. Now we're going into trial 2. going in with a set time frame. This was all addressed during opening statements. This is what the defense is, the state saying, here's what we think happened at this time. Burden of proof is on us to prove she's guilty. But obviously the defense is like, we're going to come to the nail to fight that she didn't do this. And now halfway through the trial, the state is like, actually, the clocks, they were off. Let's change the time. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And it's allowed. It's allowed. The defense has built their case around what the state is arguing, and Judge Bev is okay with that. It blows my mind that this is allowed. Unbelievable. How is the judge not like, well, we know why the judge is not like, but how many times has the state changed what the time was, what the time of John O'Keefe being hit by the SUV and whatnot? This has changed multiple times. So as the state, the prosecution, you don't even know when he was allegedly hit. What you're trying to prove, you've had to change this multiple times. And you're, in the first trial, this happened at this time. Oh, wait, no, we got to change that now. Okay, now it happened at this time. And now we're in trial 2. And you're changing it again? You're changing it again. And again, the state's own medical examiner cannot even say that this was a homicide. Can't even say that the injuries are consistent with being hit by a vehicle. How? How is this? It blows my mind that the trial's happening. It blows my mind that the trial's happening. This is wild. Wild. That's Massachusetts for you. That is Massachusetts for you. We have a long history of law enforcement being corrupt. And look at this. Look at this. I would say I'm at a loss for words, but I've been talking quite a bit, so that's not exactly true. Let's see what you guys think. All right. I think it's still 2 weeks away from the defense case. Yeah, K-Dog, I was hearing earlier that it might be another week or so of state witnesses, and then it will go to the defense. But that was just an estimate. K-Dog, that's going to look like desperation. It does. It absolutely does. Especially after yesterday where Hank Brennan basically discredited his own medical examiner and just, yeah. I feel like he was up all night just like, oh, I fucked this one up. Hey, let's try this. And yeah, Judge Bev, sure, Hank, whatever you want. It's confusing. Totally. Matilda is saying, blatant bias. Hank gets away with everything. 100%. Judge Bev should have never been on this retrial. She never should have been on this retrial at the very least, because jurors from the first trial, several of them have come forward. The judge did not make it clear that we could vote on some of the charges. One of them we were not in agreement on, but the other 2 we were, and it was not guilty. She did not make it clear, and that was her job to make it clear. So she never should have been allowed on this. And she just, she makes these speeches like, oh, remember, don't, if you think I'm blanking her exact wording, but it's basically like, if you think that I, don't base your votes in, what you vote on, whether she's guilty or innocent, based on how you think I think of the case and all that. It's like, okay, Judge Bev, you're supposed to be independent, but you sit there and it's very clear what side you're on. Very, very clear. I think K-Dog, I think the defense will destroy that witness if the judge lets them. I have faith in Alessi. I really do. I have faith in all of them. Yeah, but they shouldn't have to. And Alessi made excellent points to the judge in this. This was what we built our case on, is what the state put forward. And he was trying to argue, was it a Article 14 or Chapter 14 violation. I forget. I don't know. I forget the exact number of what it was that he was arguing. But I don't know. Corruption. Yeah, Tony, 100%. It's horrible. So that's all the notes that I have for y'all for the True Crime and Chill. In regards to last trial, I did go to the courthouse. I took a day off work and went to the courthouse and kind of was there and talking to people, met Turtle Boy, and I do plan to do that for this trial. Obviously, getting back from vacation and all that fun stuff, kind of looking at my schedule, like, okay, when can I, take a well-planned vacation day and go down to Norfolk District Court and kind of be there on the front lines and be a part of it. So the Free Karen Read movement. So we will see. I'll keep you all posted on when I do that. I know last time I took like a 30-second, like, hey, I'm live here from Norfolk County. And it was pouring that day, but I still went with the Liz, which was good. So, and always a good time. So we'll see. I can't believe I'm at 2.5 hours and it's just me. Oh my God. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining me for the True Crime and Chill and for being so engaging and interactive in a lot of the cases that we talked about tonight. If you are watching this on replay and you have made it to the end, 2.5 hour mark, thank you. Leave your comments below and let me know what you thought about some of these cases that we're talking about. Puff Daddy one, Koberger, Karen Read. There's a lot, Menendez brothers, a lot going on, a lot of conversation to be had. Again, as a reminder, next week, I will just be doing the one True Crime and Chill show since I did an extra one this week, and it will give me time to read the book for the May book club, which will be live the last Thursday of May. Again, anybody can participate in that. So feel free to do so if you would like. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your evening, the rest of your weekends, and I will see you next week. And remember, until next time, we don't live in darkness. Darkness lives in us. Bye, everyone.